Hello everyone and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division in the Platinum Resorts Tournament. This video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go here. I'm going to start off with hole number 1 and you can see what type of win we're going to have. This is going to be absolutely incredible hard. I'm going to take a power 4 ball, going with max overpower, max topspin and as much side spin to the right as possible. And the thing that we do want here is that to cut the rough and roll as far as possible. Have in mind that you need to go with curl to the right, otherwise you're going to drop down into the bunker or in the rough on the left side on that fairway. So then you maybe wonder, why do we play that shot then? Sure, we can play straightforward there, but with this type of wind we're going to have a very tough time to reach over the rough on the top if we're going to play on the right side and just go a little bit short. So I do decide to go max overpower, and I do believe that is going to be the best way for us. The thing that I would love to change is that I would love to change to go with max curl to the right. The reason I wanted to go max curl to the right is again that the fairway do slope down to the left there. So now we're going to play the second shot with overpower as well. You need to pull out your wood club with as much distance as possible. And now it's basically for us to either get it to the green just barely, or that we do want to line up for a wedge shot from a close distance. And I'm not going to judge for what you're going to do. You're going to play it how you feel. I do rather go with a wedge than with a long putt. You know, that is because I feel confident with that. Slight amount of overpower there, like almost 50% of overpower. Could have gone with a little bit more overpower here. And we just barely cut the rough there. And you can see now we're going to have a wedge from a distance, and this is going to be a tough one, but I will have to say if we cannot make this one on hole number 1, then we're going to be in a very dangerous place, because if we wanted to win this tournament or at least have a top 10 position, then we do need to get eagle here on hole number 1, no matter how tough this wind is. But from my personal point of view, I love this wind. I think this is really going to separate the men from the boys. Or the boys from the men. I like. So I'm going to use topspin here with my wedge here, and going to do my very best to get this one in the hole. You can see, even though we do have a ball guideline here to work with and not that high up in the air, we still play slightly downhill, combined with having 12.2 in crosswind, and that is going to be tough. I'm going to go with almost 1 square out to the left with my adjustment. And you can see here I'm moving in a little bit there, but that's just going to mean that I'm going to miss. Sorry, and I'm not going to miss, but I'm going to get the right side of the pin there. So we do get the eagle here with a wedge, and it's of course possible, as you can see, to reach this green in 2. It's all about what can I say, how aggressive you want to go. If you do want to go in a really aggressive way, then you can go with max curl. You can also even slice this ball towards the green if you feel confident doing so. The risk that we do take then is that we do have a bunker in play, and that is going to always be very dangerous to have a bunker in play, because that is going to take away the opportunity from the eagle way more than being on the fairway. Before I take my first shot, check down in the video description down below and you will get the timestamp for the specific holes in this playthrough. Now our opponent gets, oh, so close. We are going to play it, or not we, but I'm going to play it exactly the same. Max side spin to the left, and then with wind below 15, I'm going to go with 5 bars of topspin. With wind over 15, I'm going to go with 4 bars of topspin. I'm going to want to use my landing position to just have that one before the bunker if stretched out in the center. Then I'm going to go with almost a max curl with my iPad mini. And then as you can see here, we're going to bounce it down very nicely. And by going on the right side here, we're going to give ourselves a lot of room for error. Because the worst case scenario here, even if we hit the ball good, is that we're going to bounce into the rough or the bunker on the, yeah, where we are basically. But from this distance, we're definitely going to have a good opportunity for an eagle. And I would have to say that if we do make a drive like this, this is almost a must eagle in my opinion. You can see that I'm asking a lot by myself, like thinking with wind, like crosswind, almost 15 miles per hour, to drop this one should be a must eagle. But that is just how hard Master Division is to win, and something that we're definitely going to work for to get. We're going to play this one a little bit differently, of course, because our opponent is playing with the rough iron, and we are going to play with the, not we, but I'm going to play with the thorn. And I'm going to play the thorn in minimum distance of my club. You can see there now. And I'd rather take thorn minimum distance of my club than a wedge in max distance. That is just personal preference. You can choose whatever. You can see here I'm lining up with my ball guy like just straight in the hole. Just a little bit before the hole. You can see there with my bounce just a little bit before. I'm going to play this one 10% like as... You can see 10% for being uphill. So I'm taking away 10% and then I'm going to with minimum numbers. I'm playing 4 rings. I hit it perfect, but as you can see, it's getting so close. We're straight at the pin here, everyone. Which means that we do have the ring adjustment correct. The only thing there is that we didn't put the ball guy line in the hole, then we would be having an eagle. That is just how close it is. So now we're going to play hole number 3. Hole number 3, we're going to play from the right side. And the reason we're going to play from the right side is that we do want to use the right side to get the ball to fall down towards the pin in a nice and easy way, and hopefully going for that hole in one. If you do not feel confident doing so, then you're going to play from the left side and playing it with curl and curl it in towards the pin. But with this type of wind, it's definitely going to be easier to play from the right side here. Our opponent's playing with the rock, and that is a good club to play with. And depending on how high you come in on this fairway, the higher bounce you're going to get. But in the end, that first bounce is definitely going to show how the ball is going to act, and you need a little bit luck with that type of bounce to get it into the distance that you do want to. This is a very good shot and will definitely put our opponent for an easy birdie. Our turn. I'm going to play with my Apocalypse because I do feel confident doing so, and I'm going to play with the movie ball. 3 bars of a side spin to the right, and then I'm going to play 2 bars of a backspin. Even though it says 3 bars, I'm going to take away and play 2 bars. And now from this distance, even though we are not in max distance of our club, I'm going to play max numbers, which is going to give me 7.8 rings. And then I'm going to drag down 1 ring towards me just to adjust the landing position a bit correctly. And that I will have to say thanks to John Ritchie for that adjustment there. And you can see we do get a different type of bounce than our opponent, and I really do like this approach or this bounce a little bit better. And with 4 bars of side spin to the right, we would definitely be coming in a little bit more from the right and possibly making a hole-in-one. So now we're going to go to hole number 4, and hole number 4 is a par 4, and I would have to say that I do believe this hole is kind of boring. The reason I do think this hole is kind of boring is that it doesn't give us any opportunities that well. Sure, the approach shot towards the pin is going to be an opportunity, absolutely, but it's going to be very tough with the wind that is pointing down, so we have to adjust down into the rough, and that is something that I don't like to do. So we are going to play this one without elevation adjustments. So I'm going to play this one with max side spin to the right, and I'm going to play it max top spin with Apocalypse level 6. So I'm going to aim up, so I do have the white ring cutting the rough on the right. So you can see the white ring cutting to the right there, and then I'm going to adjust for 10.7 miles per hour. Line it up, and we'll play this one 6.8 rings here. And then I'm dragging it up to max distance of my club in the end. So I'm just using my ring adjustment to get the angle right of the wind. And then I did go with half a ball of curl to the right with a tiny bit of overpower. You can stay away from having to overpower if you want to, but I do want to reach as close there to the top as possible to have an open shot towards the pin, because that is definitely going to get this shot to be a little bit easier. You can play this one pretty aggressive, I will have to say, because the higher up you come on the fairway, the easier the approach shot will be, as you're going to have a better angle towards the pin in terms of where the wind is pointing. So, and from this distance our opponent is going to ship this one in, no problem whatsoever. So, our turn. From this distance here, we're either going to play with a long iron or we're going to play with a wood club, and I'm going to play with a long iron in max backspin, max side spin here, aiming up, so the ball guide line is going to be just after the pin to just adjust for the compressed ball guide line that we're going to have due to the headwind. So I'm going to play this one 6 rings. And I'm going to go 6 rings with a tiny bit of curl to the right here to just straighten my ball guide line now. Coming in, bouncing very nice and getting very close. Either taking away a little bit of backspin or going with a little bit better adjustment there. So now, ladies and gentlemen, hole number 5. I know a hole that many have been waiting for. Max and side spin, 2 bars of top spin. If you do have wind in between 15 and 16, and if you do have wind below 15, you play with 3 bars of top spin, and if you do have wind over 16, you play it with 1 bar of topspin. The thing that I do want is to get myself to the fairway with enough distance, but not too much distance that would do danger the rough and the bunker. And if we can reach around the 480 to 500 yards, that is going to be absolutely perfect. You can see we did get a very good distance with our drive there. So we did get a very good distance with our drive there, and that is the thing that we are looking for when we do make a drive, is to get to that spot there on the top, because that will give us a very good opportunity to make that eagle. That is a must. And I say it again, we kind of need to have this eagle here because we're going to yeah, it's just going to be necessary for the all-around score, to giving ourselves an opportunity to win the gold. So our opponent makes a good score as well, and now we're going to play a shot that is not that common, but I will play it. I'm going to play it with max side spin to the right. I'm not going to try to overpower and bounce on that fairway there up towards the green. I'm going to go for the double bounce. The first bounce is going to be there around the bunker. Second bounce is going to be on the fairway there. The third bounce, the tip there, is going to be in the center of that bunker. The thing that we're looking for there is that we're going to get a double bounce, and then the third bounce is going to be in the rough. And the reason that we are aiming like half in the bunker is because of the extended ball guideline we're going to get due to the tailwind that we do have with this shot. So you can see here, we're getting a good bounce, getting a second bounce, but getting a very short bounce there. And this, I've actually noticed that this is kind of a worst case scenario that we do get, that we're going to get the speed and kind of grow through the bunker, which is actually pretty neat. So the thing that can happen there, of course, is that you do get a bounce that is not that good for you. And that is going to make you get stuck in the bunker. But that is, I would have to say that it's definitely a very consistent way to play, and it has been working really well. So now we go to hole number 6 while I'm changing song here on my phone, and go to hole number 6 here. And here our opponent is going to play by bouncing on the island. I'm not going to play like that. I'm going to go for the rough bump. And you know, rough bump is going to be crazy, crazy. And but again, it's going to be possible, and I do believe the rough bump is going to be the best way for us to make an hole-in-one. So, and we're going to play this shot here now with a kingmaker. And we're going to play with the ring adjustment with 1.25 per ring. So I'm going to play with a kingmaker as for this playthrough, and of course you can play with a win 5 ball here as well, and that will work. Yeah, it will work the same. So I'm going to play with 5 bars of backspin, 2 bars of side spin to the left. I'm going to get the ball guideline inside the hole here. I would tweak it to get it just to the right side of the cup if I would be changed something here. 11.1 in wind, and then it's time to adjust 1.25 per ring, and that is going to give us 8.8 rings. And then we need to hit the ball perfect. And you can see here, we're using the side spin to the left here to push ourselves into the left. We're coming in very nicely. We're getting close, close to make the hole-in-one there. And definitely going to be a good approach for you in the Master Division tournament. So now we play hole number 7. I would have to say hole number 7 is the least fun hole that we do have in the tournament, combined with hole number 4. And the reason for that is that we do not have what can I say, that we do not have the opportunity to bounce over on the left side to give ourselves a shot with a thorn or with our wedge, or like hornet if you want to play with that one, but like short iron or wedge. So we will have to just to play straightforward. I'm playing my Apocalypse level 6 in max distance of my club, and I'm going to drag it down, adjust for my rings, and then going to just slight overpower. You don't have to use overpower, but I do there to just reach as far there on the top as possible to have an open shot towards the pin. That is the only thing that you really need to think about here, to get yourself an open shot towards the pin. And from that position we're going to play with a sniper, and here again I'm playing with a kingmaker, and you can play with basically whatever ball you like. You can play with a wind 5 ball if you so want, because that would reduce the wind and give yourself an easier approach towards the pin. But this is going to be an opportunity here on hole number 7 with your sniper, and it's important that you do hit your ball perfect. We're going to line ourselves up to play with the wood club in minimum distance. So instead of using Goliath in max distance when we do have headwind, I'm going to play with the wood club in a minimum distance here. And I'm going to go and give myself the side spin here, so I'm going to have the ball guideline in approximately the same type of angle as the wind. I'm going to go with 5 bars of backspin here, but I'm getting a bit full with the ball guideline there just because it slows downhill after the pin. So the thing that I should be doing here is not to play with 5 bars of backspin. I should be playing with 4, so it's just a tiny difference here. 11 rings is the play, but you can see here we're coming in short and we're also coming in a little bit to the left. So the thing that we're going to change here is just some tiny things, is that we're going to aim with our ball guide line on the right side of the pin, and then we're going to give ourselves 4 bars of backspin instead of 5, and we're still going to search for the ball guide line to be in angle with the wind. So now we go to hole number 8, the last part 3 of the tournament, and we're going to play this one with max side spin and 3 bars of backspin. And you can see we're going to play with 5 rings first, and then we're going to adjust for 10 rings plus 2. So we're going to play this one basically 101, so 12 rings here. We do hit it perfect. You can see here how far we're coming in there to the left, but the side spin is going to push ourselves back there to the right. And I would kind of suggest that we might going to move back our landing position a little bit and give ourselves a little bit less backspin and a little bit more curls. We can come in with a higher speed to the right. But you can see there, even there, we're coming in very closely there. We need still to go a little bit more to the right. With this type of wind, I would have to say that this is the harder way to play this hole. And then maybe there is some players that may thinking, okay, let's go for the rough bump. I would really recommend for you to stay away from that. But it's definitely going to be a hole that is going to be possible to make an hole in one. The thing that has been changed here is that the roll towards the pin from the hill on top is slightly different. It doesn't come as normal, and also it doesn't come with enough speed. Especially if we're coming short on the hill. Like when we played it before, like in earlier tournaments and stuff like that, it was pretty easy to dial in, so you could get the same exact roll every single time and get very close. And many players did drop on hole in one, and for many players it was also a more like consistent hole in one. But other than that, the adjustment was with 10% extra with my quarterback there. You can play quarterback, you can play whatever driver you might want. I like to play quarterback due to the ball guide line and the accuracy there to make it easier to adjust. So now I'm going to play with the Berserker ball, and I'm going to play with Apocalypse level 6. You can play this shot with a power 4 ball like the Snowman ball, like the Prestige ball, Origin ball, like many par 4 balls that do give you the same type of wind as we're going to have with a Berserker. I'm adjusting 13 rings here, which is with 10% extra max distance of my club. Then I'm moving up my landing target as to the max of my club, and then I'm not going to go with any overpower and just take my shot. You can see there I came in very close to the rough, and I might need to just think about that when playing, so I'm not risking going into the rough. So the thing that we could do there is to find ourselves a cutoff. Okay, if I'm having less than 15 in wind, then we can play like that. If we do have more than 15 in wind, then we might have to remove like two rings from top there, so we're not in max distance of our club. I'm using as much side spin to the left as possible combined with top spin there to just straighten my ball out, so I'm not coming in too much to the right. Because the thing that we do want to stay away from is that we do not want our ball to be in the position as our opponent is in, so we do have the trees in play. From this distance here, this is kind of a good approach actually, straight tailwind, and we can go for the bounce here. We really have to have in mind for the for the extended ball guide line that we're going to get with the tailwind here. And I'm lining up here some kind of counter for that already. But then I do adjust 2 rings too much for this approach. 15.6, I'm giving myself 10 rings. And 10 rings is a little bit too much. We should be going with 8. And you can see here now, even though we hit it great, we're going to lose distance. But you can see with the second bounce here, just coming in with the center here, it could be playing with 2 rings more there. But still, from this position, we do have a wedge with straight tailwind. And this is an eagle that we should be getting. So, if you would be making an eagle on all the par 5s and then birdies on the par 4s and the par 3s, you will have a minus 12. And that you have probably noticed already is that there will not be that many players that is going to make a consistent minus 12 for front and back. There will be players that is going to be able to do it, but playing a -24 consistently is going to be tough. There has been players that making a -13. There has been playing that making like 2 players I think that has been making -14, and we will see some scores -13, -14. And I do believe the score to win in Master is going to be around 26, 27, depending on the bracket you will be put in. So, very interesting tournament in Master, very tough tournament, especially with the par 5. This is the first time we have 3 par 5 where we really have to fight for it. So, while making this shot with the rapier, I will have to say thank you for watching this playthrough for a Master Division. If you do have any question, please make a comment in the comment section below. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Platinum Resorts tournament.